Hey guys, it's Brandon, Breath of Fire. Thanks for stopping by the channel today and checking out this video. It's going to be a heater. Today we're going to be talking about SHIBA. So last week I dropped a little community post asking, what words you wanted to hear this week, and told you that I had one on XRP, silver, and SHIBA. And there was probably, I would say maybe 2/3 of the people wanted SHIBA. So today we're going to be doing this video about Shiba Inu. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, definitely stay tuned. With that, I will say this is not going to be a video that has to do with price points or dates for Shiba to moon, that type of stuff. I don't generally do any of that kind of stuff here on this channel. I am pretty much what you would call a spiritual biblical treasure hunter. So I try to deep dive into scriptures, use prophetic dreams that the Lord has given me, real life situations in which the Lord speaks to me, and use those things to find confirmations and treasures and nuggets about this wealth transfer and things that God is doing here in the earth. So if that interests you, if you want to hear some biblical confirmations about Shiba and why it's going to explode, then those type of things are going to be here on this channel. So definitely stay tuned if that interests you. So that's it, guys. We're going to jump right into this. Oh, you know what? Also, before we jump in, I want to just give a quick shout out to Robert Downs. Robert Downs was actually this channel's first donor. Okay, we received our first donation last week, and I just felt like it was important to give him a shout out to say thank you. And as a thank you, I actually doubled his donation, sent it back to him so that he could buy his favorite crypto with it. And why would I say that? Simply because I am a generous person. I believe in generosity. It's a core value for me, my family, and for this channel. So I cannot wait to do big things here on this channel for you guys as this community grows. And if you feel led, guys, definitely continue to sow and to donate to this channel. I'm telling you, God's using it in a big way. And just exciting things are on the horizon, guys. Really are. So today we're going to jump into Shiba. Now, again, this is not a video about setting dates and times, but this is going to be a deep dive into the scriptures and looking at Shiba and how God is planning to use it. And so if that interests you, we're going to go right into it. Now, the passage that we're going to be pulling from today is a classic passage that comes from Genesis. Now, a lot of times I refer to Genesis as genetics because it really does talk a lot about our origins, of course, our creation in the first 3 chapters, and just so much about who we are as a people. So sometimes if you hear me say genetics, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Genesis. But we're going to be up in Genesis today, and we're going to be talking about Shiba. So to get this started, we're going to kind of give you a little bit of back history here about Isaac. So Isaac was Abraham's son. And of course, God had made a covenant with Abraham about blessing him and multiplying him and making him great and blessing his lands. And of course, Abraham was wealthy in all things, the Bible says. And so Isaac, his son, comes along, and he's the child of promise, right? And we see this passage that we're going to look at here, and it's very similar to Abraham's life. And God begins to affirm this covenant that he had made with Abraham for Isaac as well. And so we're going to deep dive into that, guys. And so today's passage is going to come from Genesis chapter 26. Genesis chapter 26, specifically verses 1 through 33. So let's go ahead and jump on into that. I'm going to jump onto the computer, and we're going to go through the scriptures together and go about it that way. And so let's jump on in. Okay, guys. So here we see in Genesis chapter 6, 1 through 3, it's titled God's Promise to Isaac. So we see right off the bat, guys, that there is a famine in the land, right? Besides the former famine that was in the days of Abraham. So right off the bat, we're seeing parallels between Isaac and his father, Abraham. Okay, and it starts out with a famine here in the land. Now, because of the famine, Isaac was trying to get on out of Dodge, right? He wanted to actually head down to Egypt because it was a little less severe there, right? There was more provision and supply in Egypt. Now, Isaac was currently living in an area known as Ber Lahai Roi. Now, that name literally means the well W-E-L-L, the well of him that lives and sees me, or the well of the vision of life. And so that's where Isaac was. And now that the famine has hit, he's heading down to Egypt. But here in verse 2, the Lord appeared to him and said, do not go down to Egypt, but dwell in the land of which I shall tell you. Okay? So the Lord stops him kind of in his tracks, and he's like, look, don't go down there. I'm going to take you. I'm going to tell you where to go. I'm going to lead you to a land. And then he says this, sojourn in this land. Okay? Now that word sojourn is important because it means to temporarily stay and to kind of move around within the land. It's not really like a settling down, right? It's not dropping anchor. It's not, sowing roots, right? It's just kind of moving around temporarily here and there. And the Lord says, I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and to your offspring, I will give all these lands, and I will establish the oath that I swore to Abraham, your father. And I will multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven, and will give to your offspring all these lands. And in your offspring, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham, Isaac's father, obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. Okay? So here we're seeing the Lord appear to Isaac the first time, guys, and he's confirming the covenant, the oath that he had made to Isaac's father, Abraham. And now he's making that covenant with Isaac. All right? So after that, it says, verse 6, so Isaac settled in Gerar. Now, the Lord had just said to sojourn. But here we see Isaac, right, settling, right, planting roots, right? He's settling here in Gerar. I want you to catch that. Now, in verses 7 through 11, we see Isaac come across Abimelech. Now, Abraham, his father, also had a situation with Abimelech, but this is not the same Abimelech. Okay? The word, or the name Abimelech is kind of like the word Pharaoh, right? It's more of a word that means like it's like a title more than it is an actual name, right? Just like you might say Pharaoh, that's not the Pharaoh's actually name. When you say Abimelech, it's not actually Abimelech's name. That's more of like a title, okay? So in this passage here, 7 through 11, right, Isaac basically says that to himself that, hey, my wife's so beautiful. I'm going to say that she's my sister so that the men don't kill me, right? Because Rebecca was very attractive. And this whole situation that plays out, is very similar to Abraham's situation with Sarah. And so we're seeing another parallel here between Isaac and Abraham. And at the end of it, Abimelech warned all the people, saying, whoever touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. So things end up working okay, but very similar situation to Abraham's life. Then we get to verse 12, guys, and this is where things are going to start to pick up and get interesting. So in verse 12, it says, and Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100-fold. The Lord blessed him, and the man became rich and gained more and more until he became very wealthy. So here in verses 12 and 13, we begin to see Isaac begin to work and sow, and he's beginning to reap a reward. He's beginning to accumulate some wealth from the work of his hands. The Lord is beginning to bless him. He's gaining some wealth, guys. He's gaining some influence and some territory, right? And then in verse 14, he had possessions of flocks and herds and many servants, so that the Philistines envied him. Now the Philistines had stopped and filled with earth, with dirt, all the wells that Isaac's father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham. All right, so what we're seeing now here in verse 15 is that the Philistines are now filling up with dirt all the wells that Isaac's father Abraham had dug. Now, this is very, very significant. This whole passage, again, remember, started with Isaac in an area called Ber Lahai Roi, which means the well of him that lives and sees me, right? And now we're talking about Isaac getting wells that belong to his father filled up with dirt. Now, wells, guys, are very, very important in biblical times, and they are a symbol of a lot of different things. So I think it's important to kind of just stop here for just a second and talk about wells. So when it comes to wells, there's basically two different sources of wells or water back then, guys. You had the cisterns that were in the mountains, and they were basically, collections of rainwater and basically containers of water, and these things would usually run about 20 feet deep, these cisterns. Now, the second source of water or a well back then was the wells that were in the valleys. Now, these things were totally different. They were dug around 200 feet deep, right? And they had to be built with the insides of the well made of many pieces of stone, so that it did not collapse in. And so there was much, much more work involved. It was harder to get the water with these type of wells, right? And to possess a well back then, guys, it was to be independent, right? And these wells were often inherited from previous generations. So, they spoke of the right to live in a given place. And a new well, therefore was basically a symbol of blessing. It was a symbol of establishment. And for, nomadic herdsmen, even like Abraham and Isaac, who were great herdsmen, water was life. It was everything, right? In some seasons of the year, human or animal life could not be sustained without water from wells. And so wells weren't just a luxury, but they were, a necessity. And when we look at wells throughout the Bible, we can see a couple different things about wells. One, wells invite us to co-labor with God, right? And the purpose is to access multiplication. So that's important. Wells also represent supply and provision, super important. Wells speak of encounters with God. I mean, if you look through the scriptures, God is always meeting people at wells and doing something, right? It's just mind-blowing. Wells are places of divine appointments. Wells represent inheritance, blessings from inheritance. And wells are a symbol of a thriving community, because wells don't just give water to whoever owns it, right? Wells give water to the entire community, the entire area, the city, the region, right? So wells were super, super important back then. And now we're seeing that because of Isaac being blessed by God and starting to gain some momentum in terms of influence and wealth and reach, that the Philistines are getting upset and they're filling up these wells with dirt. And then we see here in verse 16, and Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we." Wow, that's intense, guys. That's intense, because here we see the rulers really of this area who are now fearful of the power that God's children, represented by Isaac here, are gaining. Now, does that sound like anything you're seeing today in crypto land? Absolutely, right? Anything with the wealth transfer, anything with the powers that be? You think the powers that be don't want us to have wealth? Because if we get wealth and we get influence and we get gaining territory and momentum and have influence over cities and regions and different communities, guys, we have the opportunity to become mightier than they are. And that scares them. And so Abimelech sent them out. And so Isaac departed from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Again, we're seeing Isaac leave and settle. He's settling. Now, once he settles here, Isaac begins to dig again the wells of water that had been dug in the days of Abraham, his father, which the Philistines had stopped after the death of Abraham. And he gave them the names that his father had given them. So once Isaac leaves and starts to settle in the valley of Gerar, he's digging these wells of water that his father had dug. And he's redigging them, and he's giving them the names that his father had given him. Now, the names are significant, right? Because when you name something, you're establishing ownership over it, right? Think about your parents. When you were born, they named you and established that they had ownership of you, right? When Adam was given the ability to name the animals by God, right? He brought all the animals to Adam. Adam named the animals, establishing his ownership, his authority over all animals. So giving something to name declares and establishes and decrees your ownership over it. So this is important. He's saying, these were my father's wells, these sources of supply and provision and wealth. These belong to my father. And I'm redigging them, and I'm giving them the names that he had given them. So then we get to verse 19, okay? And then it says, when Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there a well of spring water, the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. So he called the name of the well Esek, because they contended with him. Wow. So now Isaac's moved on, right? He's digging a new well, and they found water, but not just any kind of well, guys. This was a well of spring water. This was the top of the line well. Think about that, right? It had running, flowing spring water in it. This was the best of the best. And he finds this well, and then the herdsmen of Gerar begin to contend with him. And this name Esek, guys, the name of that actually means contention. And in the Hebrew, it's a very strong word. It almost is like warfare, right? It's like scorched earth kind of stuff, right? It's very heated contention. And it can also mean lawsuit. Think about the contention that happens in a lawsuit. I'm not making this up, guys. It can mean lawsuit. So I don't know about you, but can you guys think of any well that has a lot of contention regarding it? Maybe a lawsuit in which allows you to tap into a well of water, a well of liquidity. Yep, XRP, guys. Now check this out. 21, it says, then they dug another well, and they quarreled over that also, so he called its name Sitnah. Now Sitnah is a little less harsh as Esek, but it definitely is tough. It means hatred. It means opposition, to oppose, accusation, strife, adversary, right? It's a little bit less heated as this, but it's still not good. It's opposition. So then Isaac again is like, I'm done with this. And he moves from there and he digs another well. And this time the herdsmen of Gerar did not quarrel over it, right? So he called its name Rehoboth, saying, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. Now the name Rehoboth, right here, Rehoboth, all right, that name means open spaces. It means plenty of room. Okay, so the Lord has made room for us, and so now we're going to be fruitful in the land. And from there, it says, verse 23, he went up to Beersheba. Now, why would, here in verse 22, when he's not having the contention anymore, why would he leave and be like, I'm out of here, and move to a different area? Well, I believe it's because he's now realizing that no matter where he goes, no matter where he travels, the Lord has now positioned him to be blessed and to be fruitful. And so he's like, I'm getting away from all the nonsense. I know the Lord's going to provide for me. And it's interesting that he went from there to Beersheba. Okay. Now, Beersheba was roughly about 50 miles between, there was about 50 miles between Beersheba and the area of the Philistines where he was. And 50, of course, is a significant number. We've talked about that before on the channel. And then here, guys, something interesting happens. Verse 24, and the Lord appeared to him the same night and said, I am the God of Abraham your father. Fear not, for I am with you and will bless you and multiply your offspring for my servant Abraham's sake. Okay? So the Lord has now appeared to him twice, right? And the Lord talks about, the power of two to confirm truth. So now the Lord has appeared to him twice, speaking to him the covenant again. Now it's interesting that in all the other places, the Lord didn't appear to him, but now the Lord appears to him here in the land of Beersheba. And to me, that's just God confirming that this was the place that Isaac was always destined to arrive at by soldiering through the land. He was never really meant to probably settle down in those other areas. If he would have just sojourned like the Lord had told him, he would have gotten here a lot quicker. But of course, the Lord has a way of blessing you and using different things to get you to where you're going, even if we don't have follow the instructions to the T. So God is just good like that. And so now here he is in Beersheba. The Lord has appeared to him. He's confirmed his covenant to him once again. And so Isaac has now built an altar there, and he called upon the name of the Lord and pitched his tent there. And Isaac's servants began to dig a well. Wow. So now they're digging a new well here in Beersheba. Now, this is interesting. When Abimelech, so what happens is Abimelech basically hears about this, right? And Abimelech goes to Isaac from Gerar with Ahuzzath, his advisor, and Pichol, the commander of his army. Guys, I have no idea how to say those words, so don't hate on me for that. The commander of his army. And Isaac says to them, why have you come to see me, seeing that you hate me and have sent me away from you? And they said, we plainly see that the Lord has been with you. So we said, let there be a sworn pact between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you. So Abimelech and his advisor and the commander of his army, the big head honchos, want to make a pact. They want to make an agreement. They want to have a settlement. Okay? And in verse 29, so that you will do us no harm. Something has happened where they don't want the people, God's people, to harm them. And it was the other way around. So now they want to have a settlement. Just as we have not touched you and have done to you nothing but good and have sent you away in peace. Check this out, guys. You are now the blessed of the Lord. What? You are now the blessed of the Lord. There's a settlement that happens. You are now the blessed of the Lord. And check this out, verse 30. So he made them a feast, and they ate and they drank. And in the morning they rose early and exchanged oaths. And Isaac sent them on their way, and they departed from him in peace. Man, that is intense, guys. So within like a 24-hour span, Isaac goes from fearing these guys and thinking that they're going to do him in to there being a settlement, a covenant made, an oath that's made, and peace is now made, and he's declared to be the blessed of the Lord by the ones that he thought were his enemies. Right? And so he throws this celebration. There's a celebration that takes place. And in the morning, they arose, exchanged oaths. So all this happened within like a 24-hour time span, guys. It happened very, very quickly. I think that's important to take note of. And then, guys, check how this ends. That same day, Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug and said to him, "We have found water." And he called it Sheba. Therefore, the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. Wow. Verse 33. Amazing. So Isaac has his servants approach him the very same day that this oath has taken place and says, "Hey, we have found water in this new well." And he calls the well Sheba. He calls the well Sheba. Are y'all kidding me? Seriously, you can't make this stuff up, guys. So therefore, the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. Well, what about Sheba? What does Sheba actually mean? Like, so there are three names. There are three meanings, I should say, of the name Sheba. Sheba means oath or covenant. It means seven, the number seven. And it also means rest. Now, Abraham, Isaac's father, had also made a covenant pact with Abimelech, the Abimelech of his day. And he had taken 7 ewes and made a sacrifice. They did a covenant, just like a covenant with this Abimelech was made here. And so that's where we get the name. Here we go. When he says that he went to Beersheba, okay, Abraham had already named the place Beersheba because the word beer is well, and Sheba, again, means 7. It means oath. It means rest. And so here we have Isaac, therefore, establishing the name of this city as Beersheba, the well of the oath, the well of the covenant, the well of 7, the well of rest. And of course, 7, guys, means perfection, completion. Think about a week, 7 days. And on the 7th day, God did what? He rested. So all that stuff is included in the name Sheba: oath, covenant, 7, rest. Sheba. So God is making an oath. He's making a covenant, a guarantee that Sheba is part of the wealth transfer. And he's going to bring this thing to a perfect completion. A perfect completion. He's going to provide rest for his people. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, we talked a little bit about wells in terms of community. Check this out, guys. Here's a little info about Sheba. So according to Shiba's, they call it a wolf paper. It's just a white paper for Shiba. It's available at SHIBAToken.com. According to the paper, Shiba Inu was developed as the answer to a simple question: what would happen if a cryptocurrency project was 100% run by its community? Its founder, Ryoshi, attributes its origins to an experiment in decentralized, spontaneous community building. According to Ryoshi, the power of collective decentralization can build something stronger than a centralized team ever could. So we see that at the core of Shiba Inu, the founder, Ryoshi, really wanted Shiba to be about community. He wanted it to be a coin that rallied around the idea of community. And again, that's what we were talking about with the whales. Whales are a symbol of a thriving community. So I think that's very, very interesting. Let's take a look at this, guys. This is SHIBAToken.com, the site that was just referenced. This is Shiba's site. And check this out, guys. Let me scroll down here. We talked a little bit about Shiba Swap. And we'll see here, guys, that Shiba Swap gives users the ability to dig. Now, we just talked about wells, and to make a well, you have to dig. And why does Shiba Swap give users the ability to dig? It's to provide liquidity. They're digging to get liquidity. And what were we just talking about a little bit earlier? See, a well, you dig to get water. Water is a liquid. It's the liquidity that these wells are allowing us to access and to tap into and to get. So SHIBA allows us to tap in and to get this liquidity. XRP, which again was basically referenced here by this whale named Essek, right? It's all about liquidity, right? And this one again was a well of spring water, the XRP reference here, this Essek well. It's all about liquidity. Right now, the world is in a liquidity crisis. Okay, it's in a liquidity crisis. So some of you may be asking, what is liquidity? In its most simple form, liquidity refers to how easy it is to convert cryptocurrency into cash quickly, and whether this can be achieved without the asset's value suffering. Okay. Liquidity can also be used when weighing up which exchanges enable trades between fiat and crypto to be completely, instantly, and without price slippage. The levels of liquidity often depend on how many users that particular platform has. But guys, liquidity is everything. And right now, all the problems that we're seeing financially across the globe with the different governments, economies, and all the different banking institutions, all the different economic platforms. Guys, we need liquidity. And guess who really provides the answer, guys? Ripple, XRP. Ripple offers something called on-demand liquidity, or ODL. And this is the secret sauce for Ripple and XRP. And this is why it's going to be such a big deal. Okay. Ripple on-demand liquidity helps customers to move money around the world without the need for correspondent banking relationships and the pre-funding of accounts abroad. The product aims to deliver payments that are seamless, real-time, and cost-effective, right? With the legacy structure, guys, it takes 3 to 5 days to settle international transactions. Not with Ripple, not with XRP. It does it in seconds, dirt cheap, okay? This means that customers of the product, like banks and payment providers, they don't need to keep expensive Nostro accounts in foreign countries here. Nostro accounts basically, guys, are accounts that a bank will have in a foreign country in another bank, right? And they have to have those to kind of do what they do currently. So ODL will definitely knock that out. So how does Ripple on-demand liquidity work? Ripple on-demand liquidity puts Ripple's XRP token in the middle of cross-border payments rather than a myriad of intermediaries. Using the service, customers can tap into that XRP liquidity. The XRP token itself acts as a bridge between two fiat currencies, ultimately settling payments in local currency at the payment destination. Transactions are confirmed in a matter of seconds. Guys, so in crypto land, guys, it's all about liquidity, and Shiba Inu is a well to tap into liquidity. XRP is a well to tap into liquidity. And guys, things are happening big time. So guys, that's the word on Shiba today, guys. That's the word. God is definitely using Shiba in a big way. Many of you, again, have talked and messaged me and commented and stuff. How can Shiba hit these high prices? How can Shiba reach these prices in which we're going to see great wealth come from Shiba? There's nothing naturally that looks like Shiba can do it, right? And here's just something I want to say, and I actually responded to someone in the comments with this, is that Shiba is a prophetic coin, XRP prophetic coin, right? All these different things are prophetic coins. And here's the thing about prophecy. Prophecy is God speaking about something that he plans on doing in the earth. And our God is the God of the impossible. So it does not matter what things look like in the natural. It does not matter if Shiba looks like it's going down, that there's no way for it to hit these high numbers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it looks like Ripple is going to lose a lawsuit, or even if they come out and say that Ripple has lost a lawsuit. Don't get flustered by that. Don't get fudded out, guys. Fear, uncertainty, doubt, FUD. Because that's what they want, guys. just like the Philistines here were filling in the wells with dirt. Now, the dirt was the very thing that had to be removed to create the well. And for us to invest and to create an avenue to obtain the wealth, we had to get rid of fear. We had to get rid of doubt. We had to get rid of uncertainty. And we had to let go of those things so that we could get focused on investing and sowing, right? And spending money that's tight for us to spend, right? And the Philistines just dumped that stuff back in. And the powers that be are dumping that stuff back in with us. They're trying to throw fear, uncertainty, doubt our way so that we get flooded out and don't spend money, that we don't invest, that we don't keep moving forward with these things that God has already spoken to us about. So guys, don't get thrown off course. Know that SHIBA is definitely from God. SHIBA is going to be used in this great wealth transfer. And if you look at the natural, there's actually a lot of things happening right now with SHIBA. And I'm not going to go through all those things in this video. Maybe I'll do another video here soon about it. But guys, there's lots of things happening right now regarding SHIBA. And unless you're constantly looking at those things, you might not know that. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of things going on right now. And just to kind of touch base, you saw in this passage, there was a lot of things that had to do with settlement, with covenant, with peace being made. I know it has to do a lot with XRP and the settlement there, bringing regulation to the industry, to the space, especially in light of everything that's going on with the FTX scandal. So keep your eyes on that, guys, because that's somehow tied not only to XRP, but to other coins as well, like SHIBA. I believe that. So let's keep our eyes open and watching for that. But guys, I hope this word has blessed you. I hope it has. And I'm so happy to be able to share this with you today. It's something that I've been looking at and analyzing for a few weeks now. And it just boggles my mind how God can speak through a book that's thousands of years old and give us answers for today's questions. It's mind-boggling, is it not? It's awesome. And God's just that good. So guys, be encouraged. Let your faith be encouraged and let it rise, guys. God is in control. He's doing amazing things. Guys, we've got big things coming for us in 2023. I believe 2023 is going to be a significant year for all of us in terms of wealth transfer, in terms of things happening. And so, guys, just be encouraged. Just be encouraged. That's it, guys. I love you. I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I know this one's a little bit longer, but I really wanted to unpack this and go through the scriptures and just kind of show you guys, because like I said, I'm getting a lot of questions. Is SHIBA even going to be able to make it? Is it going to be able to do it? And it most certainly is, because God is in control and he can do all things. Nothing is impossible for God, and nothing is impossible for those who believe, right? Just like the tagline for this channel, Breath of Fire, see, hear, obey. That's it, guys. We're looking to see what God is doing. We're listening to see what he's speaking and what he's saying. And then we're going to be quick to obey, because we know that those are the things that are definitely going to happen and take place. So that's it, guys. I'm out. I love you. I'll catch you on the next video.